Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever actually stopped for a second to realize that your daily modern existence is just a miraculous statistical anomaly? I mean, we all do it, right? We complain about the weather or a slightly slow internet connection. But in this explainer, we're going to look at some cold, hard facts that will literally put everything into perspective. We're going way back in time to explore the absolute worst times in history to be born as a human. Seriously? Think about this for a second. Picture your dad, then his dad, and his dad. If you keep going back past the powdered wigs and the chainmail, if literally any one of the thousands of people in your ancestral chain had tripped at the wrong moment, gotten eaten by something with entirely too many teeth, or just failed to reproduce, poof, you wouldn't be here. You aren't just lucky, you are the direct byproduct of violent coincidence and seriously stubborn biology. Just look at the contrast here. On one side, we have modern you, navigating the world with, let's be honest, a minor snack addiction and a mild caffeine dependency. And on the other side, your ancestor, a nameless, shoeless individual squatting in the dirt, probably chewing on a beetle, whose number one daily objective was simply trying not to die before sundown. They had absolutely no idea you would eventually exist, but their sheer survival gauntlet is the only reason you do. So here is our roadmap for the countdown of the 5 deadliest periods in human history. We'll be traveling back through the 14th century, the 13th century, and then deep, deep into the ancient past. 10,000, 20,000, and finally 74,000 years ago. Kicking off our countdown at number 5, the Ice Age, roughly 20,000 years ago. So during the last glacial maximum, Earth was, well, far from cozy. Massive ice sheets, we're talking up to 2 miles thick, completely smothered huge chunks of North America, Europe, and Asia. Your new daily routine? Mostly just fending off hypothermia and trying to hunt woolly mammoths the size of actual school buses with, essentially, a sharpened stick. And if you weren't hunting, you were probably sprinting away from creatures like the cave lion, one of the largest wildcats in history. Then, at the end of a very long, very terrifying day, you retreated to a drafty, mammoth bone hut shared with 40 of your least favorite relatives. And remember, a simple infected cut could end you. No antibiotics, no vaccines, just chewing some random plants and hoping for the best. Yet, somehow, despite all of this, humans adapted. We invented bone needles and created incredible early art, like the cave paintings at Lascaux. Moving on to number 4, the dawn of agriculture, about 10,000 years ago. Now, this was the era where humans had the seemingly brilliant idea to stop chasing those mammoths and just settle down to grow crops. Think wheat, barley, lentils. But man, talk about an expectation versus reality check. The expectation was genius, right? Hey, let's just make the food come to us and stay in one place. But the reality? Actually, humanity accidentally made life way, way harder. Living packed together in permanent villages meant diseases could suddenly spread like wildfire. On top of that, your diet got significantly worse, way less protein, way more vitamin deficiencies, and your teeth essentially rotted straight out of your head. And look, this isn't just some wild theory. The archaeological evidence backs it up 100%. Ancient skeletons show clear, undeniable signs of malnutrition, anemia, and just horrifying dental disasters. Plus, this whole settled lifestyle introduced a terrifying new threat: crop failure. Literally, a single bad drought, a swarm of locusts, or a random flood meant your entire village simply starved to death. Which brings us to number 3, the Mongol invasions of the 13th century. Led by Genghis Khan, a guy who treated mercy like an absolute myth, the Mongols carved out the largest land empire in human history, stretching all the way from China to Eastern Europe. Imagine seeing a cloud of dust on the horizon. You had maybe 3 minutes to panic before your entire city was leveled. 300. That is the distance in yards that a Mongol horse archer could hit you from while riding at a full gallop. I mean, they basically invented mobile warfare centuries before tanks were even a concept. Their strategy was brutally simple: show up fast, hit incredibly hard, and leave absolutely nothing standing. Sometimes they even used survivors as human shields for the next battle. Which leads us to this genuinely staggering statistic: 10%. Historians estimate that this fast, merciless strategy wiped out a full tenth of the entire world's population. And keep in mind, this was at a time when the total global population was already pretty tiny to begin with. Getting closer to the top. Number 2, the Black Death, 1347. So Europe receives this highly unexpected, very deadly package from Central Asia, brought over by highly motivated fleas and rats carrying the bacterium Yersinia pestis, Welcome to the medieval lottery. In a time with absolutely zero concept of personal hygiene, this biological wildfire just tore through towns. You could literally catch it from a handshake, sharing a cup, or just by breathing the same medieval air as an infected person. Symptoms? Giant swollen lymph nodes, fever, vomiting blood, and usually death within just a few days. And the medical response to all this? Doctors walking around wearing those incredibly creepy bird masks stuffed with flowers, effectively vibe-checking the plague as their peak medical science. The apocalyptic scale of the bubonic plague is almost hard to wrap your head around. Somewhere between 30 to 60% of Europe's entire population was wiped out in just a few short years. It was so catastrophic that entire villages were simply abandoned to rot, and whole economies completely collapsed. And finally, number 1, the Toba supervolcano eruption, 74,000 years ago. This is the climax, the absolute deadliest time to be born as a human, an event that very nearly deleted humanity from existence entirely. 670. When Toba exploded, it launched over 670 cubic miles of ash and debris straight into the sky. To put that into perspective, that is enough material to bury the entire United States. This eruption triggered a volcanic winter so incredibly severe that it literally blocked out the sun for an estimated 6 to 10 years. Compare that to the ice age we talked about earlier. While that era caused average global temperatures to drop by 10 degrees, the Toba eruption crashed global temperatures by up to 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Plants withered immediately, animals starved en masse, and global ecosystems entirely collapsed. Lush landscapes turned into frozen deserts almost overnight, and vast forests just became graveyards. For early humans, who were, let's remember, already struggling just to find enough calories on a good day, this catastrophe led to what scientists call a genetic bottleneck. Basically, a massively sharp reduction in population size. It's estimated that the total human population worldwide shrank down to fewer than 3,000 individuals. Really stop and think about that for a second. Every single person alive today likely descends from that tiny, starving, freezing handful of survivors. Which, naturally, brings our whole narrative full circle. Just imagine spending your entire life in darkness, freezing cold and starving, waking up terrified every single day that it might be the last day anyone ever sees the sun. No crops to rely on, no animals to hunt, and absolutely no second chances. And yet, against all possible odds, a few stubborn, desperate humans simply refuse to give up. Ultimately, you are the byproduct of violent coincidence and incredibly stubborn biology. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought and question. Are you ready to respect the miracle of your own existence? You are literally the miracle your ancestors fought mammoths and volcanic winters for. Take a moment today to appreciate everything they endured just so that you could be here watching this. And hey, make sure to hit that subscribe button before natural selection does its thing. Thanks for learning with our explainer today. We'll see you next time.